Hello, and welcome to my tutorial series on how to make a 2D mobile platform in Unity. In this video, we're going to learn how to use Raycast for collision detection and developing a jump mechanic. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. It helps to support this content a great deal. Let's begin. So now we're going to add in our jump. And for our jump, we're going to be using what's called Raycast. And Raycast are exactly as it sounds. It's basically going to cast some rays underneath our player, and it's going to tell us when these rays hit the ground. So let's go over to our player script and let's add in another function. We're going to call this one jump, and right above our player movement script, we're going to put our jump function. Now we need to add some new definitions up here at the top. The very first one is we're going to copy and paste this right here. And serialized field, we're going to have a private float, and we're going to call this ray length, because each individual ray, we go back. When we shoot these rays, we want each individual ray to be a certain length. We don't want them to necessarily be, like 10 spaces tall. Otherwise, it will tell us we're hitting the ground well before we're hitting the ground. So we need one that says ray length. And Control V to cut and paste again. And we're going to make another one called ray position offset to offset the position of the rays, obviously. And then we're going to come down a little bit and we're going to add 3 vector 3s. We're going to put a vector 3 and we're going to call this ray position. Can't spell position right. Center. And then I'm just going to copy and paste this. Control V to paste. So we're going to have ray position center, ray position left, Control V again, and you guessed it, ray position right. So we're going to have 3 rays, and they're going to be evenly spaced, and one's going to be on the left, one's going to be on the right, and one's going to be right in the center. So now we're going to add 3 more things, and they're going to be raycast hit 2D, and these brackets right here, because it's going to be an array, and its name is going to be ground hits center. And we're going to just copy and paste this real quick. Control C. Next line, Control V. Next line, Control V. And this one, just like above, we're going to make this one left and this one right. And don't worry, at the end of this, I'm going to explain everything. It's just to be a lot of typing here. I just want to get all the information down right now. So then after this, I'm actually going to put in an array, which is going to be raycast hit capital H, raycast hit 2D, a bracket like the other one, a bracket just like that one, because it's going to be a double array, and it's going to be called all raycast hits, and that's going to equal new raycast hit 2D, and another double bracket here with a semicolon at the end. I think all raycast hits. All right, that's fine. Just want to make sure I spell everything correctly. I think we're good to go. Right here, I can tell you this is wrong. This should not be jump speed right here. This should just be jump. because it should match this. All we're doing is calling this function. So now inside our jump function, over here, we're going to put ray position center is going to equal transform dot position plus new vector 3 parentheses, and in that parentheses we can put 0 comma 0.5f comma 0, and this is the position of our raycast where we have to put in where we're going to put each individual ray that we're using, and it'll make a little more sense when I get this all together and you can see it come together. So we're now going to just put in new components for our left side, and it's going to be transform.position plus new vector 3, and this one is going to be negative ray position offset comma 0.5f comma 0. Oh wait, I didn't have to put any of that in. I wasn't looking. So the first thing, the ray position offset, that's the one that should be different, and this one should be 0, and it's 0 because the center is going to be in the middle. That's 0, and negative ray position is left of 0, and then 0.1f. I'm sorry, 0.5f, and then 0. And then we're just going to copy this, and then we're going to put here just ray position offset, and it's on the right hand side. So it's going to be positive. So just to recap, we created these vectors up here to mark our position. That's what we named them. And then down here, we're defining them. We're saying the position of it is transform.position, which is where our player is. Plus, we wanted to just offset it a bit. So we put plus new vector 3, 0, which is the center, 0.5f. We just wanted to move it halfway down. And then the Z direction is going to be 0 on all of them because it's a 2D game. So now we want to define ground hits. So we're going to put ground hits center, and we're going to make that equal to physics 2D dot raycast all, and the components of this are going to be ray position center, comma, vector 2D dot down, comma, ray length, and semicolon. So let's just do the other two. Control C, Control V, Control V to paste it. And then this is going to be our left one, ground hits left. And we're just going to change this other one to left. And this is going to be our right hand one. And these three are basically defining where it's going to, what's hitting the ground. Let's take a look here. Ground hits center. Just want to make sure the biggest mistake I usually make is that I misspell things from one part to another. So if I click on these and they highlight, it'll highlight everything that's with that name. So this tells me that I'm clicking the right thing. And right here is our components. Our components of this ground hit center. This is our raycast, and we're saying the raycast is based on, in the X direction, our positions of center, left, and right, And then we want a direction. So the direction here is a vector 2D pointing down, because that's the direction of the vector. And then the other component is the length of the ray itself. So now we're going to go to our all raycast hits. We're going to put a bracket and we're going to make that equal ground hits center, semicolon at the end. We're going to take this, Control C, Control V, Control V. Now we're just going to change these two as we have been doing. Left and right. And here's our array. So our array has to be put in a numerical order, and that always begins with 0, 1, and 2. So we set up here, actually I didn't set up here because this is our double array right here, and we want 3 components in it. So these are the 3. 0, which is the first one, 1, which is the second, and 2, which is the third that's going to be placed in there. So now we've created our raycast. Now we have to develop the parameters or the function that's going to help us check whether our rays are touching the ground and letting us know we can jump. And up here we created a bool called can jump. And now we're going to put that into action. Let's say that can jump, don't know why I got 2 jumps, is going to equal a function we're going to create called ground check, and we're going to run all raycast hits through ground check to be able to check to see if we're on the ground. So here's that function right now, private bool ground check. And inside of it, we're going to run raycast hit 2D, a set of brackets. Next to that, another set of brackets, because that's the double array we're putting through. And we're going to call this ground hits. And so we're going to put these brackets, give ourselves some space to put this function together. So inside our function, we're going to put for each a parentheses. And then in this parentheses, we're going to put raycast hit 2D. And then at the end of it, we're going to put those brackets because there's going to be an array there. And then it's going to be space hit list in ground hits. I'm going to put an end and we're going to put a bracket there. So what this is saying is that for each raycast hit 2D, which is this stuff up here, actually, this right here, there's an array, and it says for each thing in the array, which is here, we set this up here. There's these all raycast hits, and we lined them up, and then we called them ground hit center. And now can jump we can jump based on this function. And so all raycast hits here is being placed in this function, and when it gets placed in, it's going to become ground hits. If you want to know the sequence of events, all raycast hits is put into here. It becomes ground hits, and then it goes through this one, and it says for each of these, hit list in ground hits. That's what that's for. So for each of those, and then we're going to do this again for each raycast hit 2D hit in hit list, and then we're going to ask it if hit.collider does not equal null if it exists, basically, and if hit dot collider dot tag does not equal, and we're going to create this tag, so it might seem a little confusing right now. We'll call it player collider. If the tag does not equal player collider, then brackets return true. So we'll get to the tag in a second and we'll put that in there. So for each thing in our ground hits, it's going to go through it and it's going to ask the question, does it not equal null? Does it not equal player.collider? And if not, then it's true, we can jump. And then at the end of this, let's clean this up a little bit. I created a lot of spaces here. And so if not, then at the end of this, return false. So we're going to go through this, and if all those things are valid, then it's true, we can jump. If not, then false, we can't jump. Let's just clean this up a little bit more so it doesn't look so strangely spaced out like this. Maybe I'm just being a little too much of a neat freak with that. But anyway, that's how that works. And now inside, actually, let's go ahead and create our tag first. Okay, we're back in Unity. We have a handful of errors. They all look like my bad spelling. We'll get to that in a second. And up here, we're going to have our player. And we're going to add a tag. We're going to push this here. We're going to create a new tag. We're going to call it player collider. And we're going to go ahead back to our player. And we're going to give him this tag, player collider. So this is the tag he has. Remember that you have to spell this exactly how you spell it here. If you capitalize the first letter, this P, then this has to be capitalized also. Let's go ahead and get to some what seems to be my bad misspellings. On line 47, we didn't put an R on transform for any of those, 47, 48, 49. So let's go up here, 47. It is true, no R. We will fix that. Just hit save to clear this out. I have a feeling there's be quite a few more. The name vector2D, nope, there should not be a D there. It should be just vector2. Just like so. We're going to hit that. And those are going to disappear. And last but not least, it's not raycasting, it's raycast. What line was that? 71 and 21. So line 71 down here, raycasting should be raycast. Let's hit save. And now all our errors are gone. So now we're going to go back into our script real quick. And under here, under can jump, what we're going to do is, just so we can see our rays when we start our game, we're going to put this piece of code, ray position center, comma, vector2 dot down, comma, color dot red. I'm going to end it semicolon. Let me just check this here. Ray position center, vector2 dot down, and then color red. And that's going to color that red. Control C, Control V, Control V. And now we're going to change these to the other positions. Left. And we'll make this one right. Now let's just save and see how this all came together. Actually, before we do, I just noticed something. Let's We need to change some of this up. We should make this negative. We're going to the bottom, and over here, vector 2 dot down, make this times ray length. And do that for each one. Times ray length. And times ray length. And now we should get a good look at this. So we're going to go back into Unity. We're going to let this compile. We don't have any errors. Over here, we have our jump speed, our ray length, and our position offset. We haven't added our jumping button yet. So I guess we'll just put 12. Put 1 as the ray length for now, and the position offset 0.45. We're just throwing out some numbers I think are going to work out. And that looks pretty good. These are our rays, by the way. And they're very long, actually. So we're going to shorten them up a bit. Let's make this 0.25. That might work. And so basically and as we'll see when we add the jump controls, is that, let's zoom in. Are these offset right? Let's take away our sprite for a second so I can see this. All right, that looks even. Anyway, so it's not when the box or our sprite or our collider hits the ground, it's when the rays touch the ground that's going to allow us to jump. And the reason why we want to use rays is that sometimes people want a little bit of precision when they jump. And so if you wait for the box to hit the ground, it doesn't create quite a smooth motion to have it hit the ground and touch again. Sometimes you want to give a little space for the player to react, to anticipate hitting the ground, to be able to utilize the rays in this manner. So now let's just go back to our script and add our jump command. First, let's close this. So down here in our movement function, we're just going to add if input dot get key, and this is command just to push down a button, and it's going to be key code dot space for the space bar, and then we're going to move over one, and then we're going to put and can jump and in brackets. So if we're pushing this space bar and we are true for our can jump right here, then what's going to happen, it's basically going to apply a velocity for our player to jump. rb.velocity equals new vector 2, and it's rb.velocity.x, comma, that's not a comma, 0, and rb.velocity equals new vector 2, rb.velocity, comma, jump speed. That jump speed. Okay, so that should be good right there. We're going to hit save. We're going to go, must have, player movement 113.39, cannot convert Unity vector 2 to float. What did I type? 113 rb.velocity. Oh, here we go. I forgot the .x there. I'm full of errors today. There we go. So we're going to go here. We're going to hit play. There's our lines. We're going to shorten this out. Go here and make this 0.25. Now I'm going to hit play. And here's our jump right here. And if you look real closely, I can hit the space bar when those lines hit the ground. And so that will give me a really quick jump when I want to move around instead of waiting for my player to hit the ground. It'll give me that little bit of anticipation that most people want in a precision platformer. We have a couple problems, like we'll fix this in the next video where we're just sticking to the wall. Maybe we'll leave it. No, we won't. We're going to get rid of that. And I think that's it. One other thing is probably, let's see. Yeah, so if I run, then hit jump and hold down jump, but the minute I let go of the direction arrow, he just drops straight down. And I'll see if I want to keep that as a feature. But right now, this is a pretty solid movement right here. And in the next video, we'll add the wall climbing. So that's it for today. As always, thank you for watching. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, follow me on Facebook and Twitter, and support me on Patreon. And a big special thanks to all my Patreon supporters. See you next time.